Joining me now live, the Kentucky Congressman, Chairman of the House Oversight Committee, the great James Comer. Mr. Chairman, always good to see you. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
You know, the left wanted to make this about the president, as you know. In reality, we keep learning more about folks like Bill Gates. Will you seek new testimony from him given this new report, or are you confident you had all the details that this law firm found before he came in to testify?
Well, Gates testified that he met with Epstein numerous times, that he thought Epstein was sincere about donating money to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Bill Gates testified under oath that he had 3 affairs, and he listed who the women's names were, and none of those women's names were in the Epstein circle. They were much, much older women, more closer to Bill Gates's age. So we're going to look at everything that comes in. We're reviewing everything. Anytime we get new information, we match it up with our transcript. We interviewed Bill Gates for several hours. So there are hundreds and hundreds of questions that were asked about his relationship and the time he spent with Epstein. So we're going to review it. But he did admit that he spent a lot of time with Epstein, only because, this is what Gates said. I'm not saying it's true or false, but this is what he said under oath, only because he thought Epstein was going to help raise money for the Gates Foundation.
There you go. Well, speaking of another Democrat, Bill Clinton, his former assistant, Doug Bann, came in to talk to your committee, too, about Epstein, and we're told he repeatedly testified, I can't recall. He's a pretty young guy. Do you buy that? Are the Clinton folks hiding something?
Well, unfortunately, the majority of the men that we've deposed or interviewed have had a hard time recalling things, including the former president, Bill Clinton. They saw the pictures and they just couldn't recall much about the pictures, but the former president did deny that was him in the pictures. He just couldn't recall a lot about the details that happened, those incidents. You know, it's a very frustrating investigation because many of these crimes were committed decades ago. A lot of the worst offenders are dead. And a lot of the ones that are still alive are playing the memory card, and they just can't recall what happened. Hard to believe.
People want accountability. Let's talk about something here at home the president was just talking about, which is affordability. As you know, he's on the road in Georgia talking up Trump RX. You're pushing something as well to help people who are paying a lot of money for their drugs because of the middlemen. You're pushing the Pharmacists Fight Back Act. How important is that in terms of cutting out the middlemen? We hear this all the time. Seniors go for their prescription drugs, and the middleman's getting all kinds of money, and it's our viewers who get screwed.
Yeah, I'm all about making money, but these PBMs are raping the consumers. They're putting independent pharmacists out of business. So if you're a Republican and you want prices to go down, you believe in competition. The PBMs are taking their competition out. PBMs were put in place with good intentions. They were put in place to help negotiate drug prices with the pharmaceutical companies to theoretically save money for the consumer. But what happened over time, the PBMs became profit centers and they started becoming vertically integrated. They put in their own pharmacies, the mail order pharmacies, and you want an independent pharmacy or any type of pharmacy, you have to go through a PBM who's your competition to buy the drug. And they're charging everybody else more money. They're denying doctors prescriptions. Doctor prescribes a generic drug. They're making you buy the brand name drug to pay more money. So they're bad actors, and we're trying to get rid of them.
Yep. I know you're all about capitalism. There's got to be some fairness for our viewers as well. We appreciate you standing up for them. Congressman James Comer, thank you.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.